Hello everybody, my name is Kyle Kauk and this is my Project 2 video review for ASD 1307. I'm going to be demoing my app as I talk over the points for this week's video. And to start off with, I have to say the easiest part, or what went better, was actually getting my CRUD to work. And I'll show you here as I add a tune in. I used a lot of what we learned from VFW for this, as well as MIU. Thankfully, I had a relatively working CRUD coming out of MIU. The only thing I didn't have working was my edit didn't save to the same key. It was making a different key every time. And outside of that, I was able to have everything working okay. I was able to delete, I was able to put in data and all that kind of good stuff. As you can see right now, if you play Warcraft, you know that a mage can't tank, but for the sake of just demoing the app, it can for this. And as you can see, it saves into local storage, everything's good, the data reloads with the form being wiped out. If I go to display tune, I have it set as a list view. And what I actually did for this, as when it creates my list view from the jQuery, it comes in and it actually wraps a link to edit the entire thing. So anywhere I click on this, I'm going to be able to edit. The delete has its own function, of course, where it asks to confirm it. For this I'll cancel so I can show off the editing. And actually, the edit was still one of my hardest functions to get through. And it was a realization that I actually had created a hidden form field on my add character that was specifically made for storing a key. So what I did was came back in, made it so it stores the key, it populates when everything else does, and it worked like a charm. It made it so my key saves over itself, so I don't have multiple entries of the tune. As you can see here, it's changed, it's now a paladin, and we're good to go. It didn't create an extra key or nothing. So moving on to what didn't go so well this week. Well, there wasn't a whole lot. There was that key issue. There were a few things that I didn't know about that caused me problems. I was testing it on GitHub and it would keep giving me an error that my information was not showing up in local storage. And as it turned out, I still had information from my MIU app in local storage, so it was reading that and throwing out errors at me left and right. And the other thing was, while I was testing my JSON, as you can see, I click it and it now loads. Doing it locally, unless I have a local server, Firefox doesn't like it so much that I'm trying to load in my JSON using the GET and the AJAX. Having said that, once I actually got it into GitHub and everything, that worked out perfectly. And as you can see, all the data loads up into it, and I have it displaying. What I did is it actually saves all my data into local storage. So if I go here and I'll clear out my JSON, and what it does, I did that because I figured it would be a nicer approach where it loads it all in. And in this case, I'll do the XML data. It loads it into local storage. And now if I come here and browse, I have it all, so it pops up in my given areas. DPS, it populates all that. So I just think it gave it a overall cleaner look to the application. Some of the examples I have this week is in my iOS simulator. They're not actual apps that I could get into it, but one of them is Draw Something I used, and that passes information back and forth between the server and the users. If you're not familiar with the app, basically it would give me a few words, I would draw it, send it to a friend of mine, they would have to guess, and then it just kind of goes back and forth off that. The data structure they would use, however, I am not entirely sure of. That one was a bit over me. I would guess, since it's passing images as well, it probably would be something along the lines of JSON, possibly, but I'm not entirely sure. Another app that I chose was Gmail. This app, I was reading up on Gmail's actual website, well, Google's actual website, and they kind of have a few different things. They have JSON listed, they have Atom, they have a couple others as well, so I'm not too sure. Using Firefox and looking in the console, there was a lot of JSON with their get methods, but ultimately I couldn't quite put my finger on for sure how they were getting their information off of the servers. And I finally had one last one, and that's the World of Warcraft Armory. Again, this is more of a mobile website right now. I couldn't get the app loaded onto the simulator. But again, Blizzard, I'm sure, would use some of the language. I would say maybe XML, but there's also a chance that they've developed their own language to display their information, as it is rather complicated, but ultimately it could be something as simple as, again, XML or JSON. But I wasn't able to really find anything for sure or concrete about what they used. Thank you, everybody. I hope you had a great week and look forward to week 3. Thank you.